Hello friends, old and new. I am Rob, the owner and creator of the Lair of OmnusI YouTube channel, here for another question for RPGaDay 2019 from the RPG Brigade of Facebook. Today's topic is ancient, as this is the sixth question, the 6th day of August. And we're kind of free to pick our answer as we would like. And the funny thing is, our hobby isn't really all that ancient. It can be traced generally back to 1974 when Dungeons and Dragons first started to come out. Some people say even a little bit before that, but 40 years, 50 years compared to some things doesn't seem all that terribly ancient. However, if somebody is starting to come into the hobby right now, a lot of those older games can seem pretty ancient, and unless you can really appreciate what they did and why they did some of the things that they did, they may seem kind of arcane or archaic. And I thought I would show you one such game that I have in my collection. The game is Rolemaster from Iron Crown Enterprises, way back in the day. And this was a box set that contained everything you needed to play. Of course, there were supplements that you could get down the road. But this game was broken up into 3 primary books. Just get my spectacles on. Copyright starts in 1982. The copy that I have carried up to 1989. So yes, the 3 books were Character Law and Campaign Law, that basically taught you how to make a character up and how to prepare a campaign, a series of adventures that are tied together into one neat story. The Arms Law and Claw Law, which basically detailed combat and how to fight. It seems kind of odd to have an entire section dedicated just to that, but that's really how important combat is to this game. The game is noted to be fairly lethal, so that's not too surprising. And then one of the thicker books of the lot is Spell Law, because magic is very robust and lots of selections, lots of choices, different ways of doing magic in Rolemaster. But one of the things I thought I would share is one of the things that probably the most infamous for, it also has a screen, lots and lots of tables and charts, and I thought I would share this with you real quick. These are the kind of charts and tables that you find in these kind of games. Pages and pages and pages of charts and tables and matrices that you use to play the game. So having them on a screen like this becomes very useful, as it's all right there in front of you. But the thing that Rolemaster is probably best known for, and Iron Crown Enterprises in general, are the exotic critical tables, outlining how horrendous certain blows can be. And I thought I would relate a few of these to you, just for fun. Okay, for unbalancing critical strikes, we could have all the nastiest ones. They're broken up into A, B, C, D, and E. The nastiest one from A: brutal hip strike, knocks foe down, tears tendon, and shatters joint. Foe stunned and unable to parry for 9 hours. Leg useless. Pretty nasty, but a lot better than frightening strike to foe's temple, knocks foe back 20 feet, foe dies instantly, add plus 20 to your next 3 rolls. Be kind now. These things were awesome. And of course, as you're playing, eventually you take criticals too, so you always hope that they're fairly weak, but sometimes the Game Master is going to get a good roll too. Under weapon fumbles, there's an extensive table. For example, if you have a spear, which is a good solid impaling weapon, but you fumble it, and say you get an 85 on your fumble check, clumsy move, you are stunned and unable to parry for 3 rounds, which can feel like an eternity in some of these older games while you wait for resolution and figuring out how much damage you do for each of these attacks. One of the things that was interesting about this game is that your results that you get when you make an attack determines how much damage you do. It wasn't like a lot of the modern games. You hit and then you roll for damage. If you hit really well, your damage is going to be higher and possibly open up the door to critical hits. So it was a different style of game, a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, and obviously more convoluted and complicated for people who don't like those kind of details, which might be a barrier of entry for some people. But for others who like the opportunity to play a game that really tries to simulate more than just try to conveniently abstract things for the sake of gameplay, some of these classic games can be really, really involved. Especially considering that they come from people largely who had a wargaming background, that were trying to relentlessly simulate as much as they could and only abstracted out things where they needed to keep the game going. This, they took a great deal of care into trying to figure out in a dagger doing a certain kind of damage as opposed to a battle axe doing a certain kind of damage. That's all in here. Different ways of using magic and making the world live and breathe. Some of these classic games can teach us an awful lot, which is why I have an entire video series on making characters and introducing people to different games. We've already done Twilight 2000, my own game of Dice File, so yeah, that's why I do these kind of things, to show people what these older games were like and how they were played, and maybe get somebody interested and catch on to, this would be kind of cool, I'd like to do this. So this iteration of the game can probably be found on PDF, but finding it in a box set is they're a little harder to find, but still out there for a person who's interested and excited about this kind of role play. So that is my offering as an ancient thing that I have as far as the gaming hobby is concerned. If you like this, please feel free to swing by the Lair of OmnusI on YouTube. Maybe subscribe. We can see other videos. I've got a lot of other things to look at. And if you really liked it, hopefully you'll continue to come back to the series and watch me again and again and again as we go through the month of August with all of these different topics for conversation. So until next time, I'm Rob, and thank you for coming and seeing me, and hopefully you'll see me the next time I crawl in front of the internet to make one of these videos. Farewell.